as you could probably tell from that intro, we are going to spotlight Jim Lee in this episode of The Random Run. So far, I've spotlighted a couple of artists that are probably better known for their cover art than Jim Lee. But Jim Lee actually has some pretty solid covers in his career. Again, even though he isn't really known as like a cover artist like your Alex Rosses or your Gabriel Dell'Ottos, he still has some fantastic artwork. And the other reason why I want to spotlight Jim Lee is because he is honestly one of my favorite artists, an artist that I basically grew up reading when I was a kid. And so in this episode, in this video, we are going to spend some time looking at some additional comic covers that Jim Lee has created. And many of them honestly come directly from my childhood. And if I close my eyes right now, I could actually picture many of the covers that I'm about to show you. Now, with that said, there are going to be two that I'm about to show you right now that are pretty obscure books, and they do not come from my childhood, but they're really cool books from Jim Lee's history, if you will. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to include them. If you haven't ever seen one of these episodes before, it is basically called The Random Run. And it is the Random Run because I'm essentially showing a series of random books from my collection that are all built around a theme. And so in this case, the theme will be Jim Lee, and it won't necessarily be a specific title versus books that are tied back to this particular artist. So the very first book that I want to show you is one that was actually an A-OK to me. And it was sent to me by a subscriber of the channel. And what makes this book really awesome, not only the condition of the book, but it is also Jim Lee's first work, I do believe, as an inker. He is known as an artist. He's also done some writing, but this was his first published work, I do believe, as an artist. And it is Samurai Santa #1. And it is a really, really nice copy of Samurai Santa. It is a black cover, and these books are notorious for showing wear. And this one doesn't show as much wear as many other books that I've seen that have a black cover. I'm also pumped because come the Christmas time of 2020, I will be showing this book again as part of a Christmas theme that I'm already starting to think of. So Samurai Santa #1, published inking work from Jim Lee. This next book, My Understanding, this one is a little rough, and I hope to be able to find a better copy at some point. But what makes this next book really cool is the fact that I do believe that this is the first published work by Jim Lee in Marvel. And again, just a really cool piece of history. This is Alpha Flight #51, yellow cover on this one. And this book definitely has seen better days. But again, it is a wonderful piece of history and really cool for me because I dig Jim Lee. And I think this one is like from 87. At least that's what the cover says. It says 87. So maybe that's where it is. All right. So the next couple of books are books that I'm going to be showing you that are just really cool covers. Some of which are going to be directly from my childhood. Others are just books that I happen to have in the collection. But this one right here, this one is a really cool book. This is a classic Wolverine and Gambit cover. And there's some of you out there that are probably going to know what this book is before I even turn it around. But this is Uncanny X-Men #277. And this one definitely needs to be put in a new bag and board because this is an old bag and board, literally from my childhood, that I haven't gotten around to it. But it is a really, really nice cover, really classic artwork by Jim Lee. The next book is one that, this is one, what is that on the back? This is one, honestly, I could close my eyes and picture this book. Cameron Hodge, Extinction Agenda. This is X-Men #271. Absolutely one of my favorite Jim Lee covers. The way that he rendered Wolverine right there was just, it was incredible. I loved how Jim Lee drew Wolverine. Just fantastic. And there's Storm and Psylocke in the background. Just a really, really cool cover. This next one is probably one of the only Superman books that I've ever purchased, and it's technically not a Superman book, but Superman's on the cover, and so it is a rare thing for me, to be honest. But this is Batman 612 by Jim Lee, and I absolutely love this cover. I love this cover right here. Not so much because of Batman, because that's not a good position to be in, but the way that he drew Superman just kind of standing there holding Batman one-handed, just ready to just crush him. This is such a powerful cover. Absolutely love this one. There is, again, for someone that is not a cover artist, he has a lot of really great art. This next one is, I don't know if this is a variant cover or maybe this is the direct edition. I had never seen this book up until maybe a year ago, maybe a little bit less, maybe like 10 months or so. But I saw it online. I think someone actually had 2 copies of it. And I reached out to them because I had to have a copy for my collection. I had never seen this particular book before. And I think that this is the newsstand, because the regular direct edition, I want to say, has some shiny foil that you may have seen in the intro portion. But this is Wildcats #2 by Jim Lee. It is the all-white cover, and it's just a striking cover. I absolutely love the one with the foil. That's one that I've seen that one, but this one really spoke to me. Partly because maybe I had never seen it before, and it just looks really, really different on the white background versus the foil. It's actually a really, really nice copy. Subscriber hooked me up with this one, so I'm very thankful that I think I bought this one. I'm very thankful that they were able or in a position to actually sell me one. So very cool. And then, of course, we have to have Wildcats #1 with Spartan and all these other, the Grifter, all these other yahoos right here. I remember when Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, and all those other guys actually left Marvel and started up Image. This was a big, big deal. And I loved Jim Lee back then, and so I tried to buy everything that Jim Lee touched, including, again, Wildcats #1. Just a really fantastic cover. I went back and reread this story not that long ago, and I still kind of enjoyed it, right? I mean, you weren't really doing it for the story back then. It was more about the artwork, but I actually have, I want to say maybe 6 copies of #1. I have a lot of copies of #1. All right, so there's a couple of more books here that I'll show you that are kind of sort of iconic type of books. This one right here is really cool. This is Uncanny X-Men 268, and this is Wolverine, Captain America, Black Widow together again for the first time. Just a really cool cover right there. I definitely dig this one. The crouching position of Wolverine ready to strike against, the more statuesque poses being presented here by Black Widow and Captain America. Absolutely love this one. Wolverine to me was just such a savage back in the day, and this is very much reminiscent of him standing there like, put me in, coach. I'm ready to tear some stuff up. But one of my favorite covers right there. This next one is one, again, it's just a really cool cover from a period in my childhood with the golds and the blue uniforms of the X-Men. And again, Wolverine, one of my favorite characters, X-Men, one of my favorite teams. And so X-Men #11, just a fantastic cover right there. Absolutely love just the way that they're looking. But then you have Jubilee down here in the corner like, hey, I'm just here hanging out. And I don't really know what Rogue is doing. I do not know what she's looking at, but she's clearly not paying attention like the rest of the group. But just a fantastic group shot right there of the X-Men. And then the very last book that I want to show you is one that's actually hanging on the wall behind me. I actually picked up a couple of extra copies of this particular book recently because it's a first appearance of a really cool character. It is a really, really just wonderful red cover featuring Jubilee, Gambit, and Wolverine, and also Omega Red. And you can't even really see Omega Red other than his hand and, you know, one of his tentacles. But this is such a cool cover. Absolutely love this one. And like I said, I picked up a couple of extra copies of it recently because I think that Omega Red may be making a return. So I'm definitely excited about that. I actually went back and reread a lot of Omega Red's original stuff just because I didn't remember a whole lot from him since I read this back in the day. So I wanted to go back and check a lot of that stuff out. So there you go. That is essentially my random run featuring some great cover art from Jim Lee, and this video, those books bring up a lot of really awesome memories for me as a big Jim Lee fan. If you guys enjoyed this video, I definitely want to encourage you to leave a comment behind, hit the thumbs up button, and if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects, or if you have to, you can also send me an email, and you can do that at reggie@regiecollects.com. Take care.